What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan here. Today we're going to be checking out that stock BYD. It's a Chinese automaker. A lot of news has been going on around them. Everybody's saying that they're going to be the ones to take the crown from Tesla. People are saying that BYD has the potential to run Tesla out of business. Now, let's go ahead and take a look and see if that's actually really true. Also want to go ahead and get into which stocks have been performing the best year to date from the S&P 500 in the markets. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And then, of course, just something to note for this week ahead is that we are going to get the FOMC meeting minutes released on Wednesday, as well as unemployment claims. So everybody's going to be keeping an eye on that. Kind of want to gauge and see where we're at forecasting at this year, where the Fed's forecasting this year to see if they're thinking they're going to be dropping interest rates, if they're going to be keeping them flat for a little bit longer. So people are going to be using those meeting minutes that come out on Wednesday to see if if there's any optimism in 2025 going ahead. Now, of course, we do have Jerome Powell. He's been pretty transparent ever since he's been the chair. I don't see any reason to think that anything that he says you would want to bet against. This guy has been saying, we're going to raise interest rates, they raise them. He says we're going to drop interest rates, they drop them. So that's going to be interesting on Wednesday when that comes out. But we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that on Wednesday. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it and start checking out the fundamentals and the technicals of stock BYD. All right, guys, so here we have BYD. One thing to keep in mind, BYD is an ADR, so it's a foreign company that's listed on U.S. stock exchanges. And basically an ADR just allows you, as an American, to be able to buy shares in a foreign company. So that's all that it is. You'll kind of see some liquidity issues throughout the day because this stock does also trade on foreign exchanges. So you'll kind of see some gapping in the stocks during the day. For ADRs, that's pretty typical. But when you're looking on the higher time frames, like each candle right now is representing a month, you're not going to have as big of gaps. So anyways, looks like this stock has been listed all the way since 2008. And in the past 5 years, it's really started to take a turn. So that was 2020. Of course, we all know what happened in 2020 as COVID hit and markets just went absolutely bananas. Almost everything was up. A lot of Chinese stocks actually were down. So to see that this one was up is a pretty big deal. So you'll see that we kind of come up right in here, have this massive trend, trying to kind of come back to, I guess, whatever this level was when it had initially IPO'd in America. But you have this bullish run, have some sort of a retracement in 2021, and then come back up to retest the highs, come back down. And it started to create kind of this channel. So right up here around $80, you have a ceiling, and down here you have a support. So resistance hitting just above $80 and support hitting just around $40 a share. So right now, I mean, I know we don't really care too much about this. You guys want to know what's going on now. What are the short-term benefits, possible benefits from this stock? So one thing I can see immediately is that you tested this high and then you had rejection right here at this wick. Now, however, I see that it's almost pinching. It's almost pinching right here at the $67 price, and it's had this resistance candle for the month of November, kind of starting to create its own support here in December. And I really think for this to do a breakout and have a bullish run, we're gonna have to get a month candle close above the $81 range. And you definitely are not gonna want some sort of break of this minor support. That's gonna be a creative run to the downside. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the weeklies, and then we'll get into the daily candle charts. All right, so last week we had this bearish candle right here, but Friday it was up 1.1%. So yeah, I mean, nothing as of yet is signaling that this stock is going to be heading for a breakout, especially with this resistance up here. Again, it can break this resistance, and we can see a very nice bullish run. I've never really been interested in Chinese stocks, never have bought them. I have traded them a little bit, but I've never invested in them. Now, there's obviously a difference between trading and investing. So we're going to just have to kind of wait this one out. I think if you're interested in buying the stock, I would probably wait to get a weekly close above any of these previous candle highs, previous candle high closes. So I would definitely want to see it close above 85 on the weekly. Dailies, you couldn't even know. I mean, you did have this one candle back here. What was this? This was in October 7th that looked like it was going to break out. And then, of course, just the next day, oh my gosh, had a huge drop. So coming all the way from $83, it opened 8% lower and ended up closing 9.5% lower. So I would be very wary of this stock, guys. If you're going to get into this, just know it's a complete speculation as to what's going to happen. They do have some nice cars. We can go ahead and take a look at their cars. So I was looking at these earlier, and for whatever reason on their website, you can only see the BYD Han, probably because, yeah, this is the US marketing. Right now, this car is, I believe it's around $35,000. So a lot of people are nervous. They're thinking that, hey, this BYD car is going to go ahead and take over Tesla. I mean, I don't see that happening. Would any of you guys rather be driving in a Chinese car versus Tesla? I would be scared shitless that this thing is going to blow up right under my ass. I mean, you've seen the fires with these lithium batteries. Who the hell knows what could happen in one of those things, especially if you're getting a discount car. Everyone's saying, oh, they have a car that's $10,000. Well, yeah, Toyota used to make a Prius that at the time was around $14,000 out the door, their lowest edition. And that actually turned out being great, but that was Toyota. That was a Japanese car, not a Chinese car. It's going to be, I think they've got a long ways to go before you can say, hey, fundamentally, this is a great company to own. Now, they have been increasing their revenue and their net income year over year, which is a great sign, of course. But then again, this is a Chinese stock. Are they going to get so big like Alibaba that the government comes in and outs the CEO of the company the same way they did to Jack Ma? I mean, that guy went missing for a couple of months and nobody knew what happened to the guy. So be very, very careful investing in any Chinese stock. That's all I can say about this one. Okay, so next I want to go ahead and get into which stocks have performed the best year to date so far. So we've got this data here. So Vistra, that one was one of the companies on my last video talking about which stocks performed the best in 2025. So that's interesting. Vistra Corp was up 17.76%. Let's go ahead and pull up that chart. Wow. This thing is running. I mean, this is just insane, this bullish trend that Vistra's on. I mean, you come up, get this nice little retracement, not too much, comes up, breaks the ceiling again, creates a nice support right there. Just great overall technicals for this company. However, let's go ahead and look at the fundamentals and see, is this actually a company that you can invest in? Or is this something that you need to just trade? Okay, so this one, EST. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the financials. Operating income says it's up 210%. Net income before taxes is up 256%. And revenue is up 54%. That's a little suspicious to me to be up 210% on operating income. I'd have to really look into it. Did they sell some sort of asset that allowed their operating income to increase that much? Because of course you can do that. You can make your numbers look a lot better than they actually are if you're selling off some sort of asset. But let's go ahead and look at the annuals. Revenue has been increasing steadily, but really not too much. I mean, what was actual was 14.78 billion in 2023. Now, of course, they haven't reported yet for their fourth quarter in 2024. So once we get those numbers, we'll see. I'm assuming it's going to be really, really good if the stock's been performing that well. You don't just get a stock performing that well just because, right? Somebody knows something and the ticker's moving for a reason. So actual was 14.78. They did miss the estimates by $1 billion. That's a pretty big deal. The year before was 13.73. So I mean, yeah, it grew $1 billion in revenue. So revenue was up 7.66%. So that's some solid growth, but it's nothing that I would say, okay, wow, this company should be moving this much. However, what is very impressive is the fact that their income is going up that much. So there's a stage when companies start to transition from growth to profitability, and that could be what's happening with Vista without getting too much into it. You can go ahead and do your own fundamental analysis if you guys want, but that looks like is what's happening here. Okay, so number 2 on the list, we have Constellation Energy. This is just a energy stock. It's nothing to get insanely excited about, but when you have it on the list as we did in 2024 to be one of the top performers, and then again you have it performing immediately well in the first couple of days of 2025, it definitely piques my interest. Now, they do pay a dividend, which some can say is a good thing, some can say is a bad thing. Dividends at 0.352. So let's do the quick math. I mean, nothing to get excited about in terms of actual cash flow on the investor side of things, retail. I mean, the company looks great. I mean, there's nothing to say. It's in an upward trend. So that's, it is what it is. I mean, the stock does look good. And it's nothing bad to say about it. Let's look at the fundamentals. Okay. So we've got revenue has been kind of flat. Okay, now that's a different story. Look at that. Income is just blowing through the roof. Revenue actually has been up. That was the quarterlies we were previously looking at. Now we're looking at the annual. Revenue is steadily increasing, and they are beating estimates each year. Same thing with income. Looks like it's projected to really start to take off. So Constellation Energy, looking like a good company without getting too much into it on the revenue side and on the net income side. All right. Stock, Texas Pacific Land. Yep, we all looked at that one last video that I made. Okay, Texas Pacific Land. Yeah, it's doing all right. I mean, all this isn't looking too good with the revenue, gross profit, operating income, net income before taxes, after taxes. It's all down. So, but it is on a long upward trend. So let's go ahead and look at the stock. Wow. That's yeah, that's nuts. It is weird though, because it has just these massive moves and then it has these retracements, but it does seem to find support rather easily. But again, it has these massive moves and then these massive retracements. I mean, you can even see it right here. Massive move, massive retracement. I would be cautious getting into this one. I'm not saying it's not going to continue its trend, but I would be cautious running into it, jumping into it. Okay, Texas Pacific Land, we went over those. Super Micro, I'm not even looking at that stock. I had some great trends on Super Micro, some great trades on Super Micro in the last couple of years. However, with what has come out recently against Supermicro and the fact that their auditor had dropped them as a client, is a big thing. You know, what are they doing behind the scenes that to the point where a big four accounting firm drops you from its client list? That one for right now is red line to me. I'm not touching that stock. Maybe you could speculate on it if you wanted to catch some of the wild moves that it's doing. But again, your implied volatility on the options is already going to be high. So it's going to be harder to make any profit on that. So one thing that we do definitely notice right now, right off the bat, is that energy stocks are benefiting, right? So you have energy, Texas Pacific Land, Constellation Energy, Vistra Corp. Is Vistra Corp is that an energy stock? I actually don't even know. I'm not familiar with Vistra Corp. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's an electric power generation company. There you go. So, yeah, most of the companies that are doing well are these electric companies. Let's go ahead and look at the Spider ETF for electric. So that's XLE. If you guys don't know, ticker symbol XLE. That is the ETF for energy companies, not electric, excuse me, energy companies. It's doing all right. It's not doing as good as those other companies. So that tells me you have winners and losers in this sub market. However, there could be a few that you can actually make some money on. They're not all going to be winners, but it looks like Vistra Corp so far has been pretty promising. Constellation Energy looks like they're doing a great job. Management's doing a great job. But typically, you don't get the kind of moves in energy stocks that you get in like stocks in the semiconductor industry or in the tech industry or IT industry or software industry, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting to see all these energy companies that did so great in 2024. And now they're starting the year off on a good note. So let's go ahead and pull up energy stock, see what's going on with that. Okay, I mean, it looks pretty similar. And one thing to note too is all these companies do pay dividends. So if you're looking to possibly have some sort of breakout in your portfolio in 2025, and you're also looking for something to give you some dividends, these could be great options for you guys. So energy looks like they're paying quarterly, and it also looks like that just right off the bat, I know that's going to be a much higher dividend payment rate versus Constellation Energy, which we just looked at. Now dividends aren't always going to be like the holy grail of an investment. Sometimes dividends could be seen as a negative thing because instead of the company growing its balance sheet and being able to expand into R&D, they're through reinvesting that extra cash, they're paying it out to the shareholders. Now, some shareholders, of course, they want that cash payment, and then some shareholders say, no, I want my return on equity to go up. That would be equity per share to be increased because you're keeping that cash on inside the company's balance sheet, therefore increasing the value of that stock. So a lot of investors do like to be invested in companies that aren't paying out those dividends. So yeah, it's 1.6% dividend. That's actually pretty good, especially with this growth that you're seeing here. So again, last year closed up about 76%. And you had this breakout, retracement, and it looks like it's about to break out. I would probably say it's going to close January in that price range right there. And then you're probably going to start to see some continuation. However, anything can happen. It's a stock. Okay, let's look in the ninth place. So we got GE Verona. Again, same. That was in my video the other day. And this is a new company, guys, so I would be skeptical. Let's go ahead and look at their fundamentals and see what's going on with that. So GE Verona, again, another energy company, guys. Yeah, some of these companies are new to me. I mean, GE Verona, just like this is a leg of GE, General Electric. So General Electric, if you guys don't know, they did break up into 3 different companies, one for appliances, one for energy, and then one for aerospace. So here we have their energy portion. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it's GE is going to be a good company to kind of rally behind, but I don't know that I would bet tooth and nail on it. They weren't making it work when they were one company. The stock just performed horribly. So usually, what happens when companies do break up like this, they actually do perform a lot better. But again, I think it's too early to say. I would not touch this one, but hey, I mean, stock's doing good so far. All right, Nvidia. We all know Nvidia. Let's go ahead and look at Nvidia's chart. Astronomical. My God. Wow. Just in the last couple of years, up 320%. I've been invested in Nvidia for a while. I think a lot of people have, and it's performed. So we've got, I mean, it's just an upward trend. There's nothing, you know, nothing bad here to say about Nvidia. If we pull up Nvidia's fundamentals, we'll see that Nvidia has just grown tremendously, both on the revenue side and on the net income side. It's just, I mean, it's astronomical. There hasn't been another company that has been able to do what Nvidia has done. It's, when people talk about, you know, good stocks, or they talk about bubbles. Nvidia is trading at a high PE, but they are absolutely just, I mean, dominating. I mean, look, 2021 revenue was 16 billion. Then they go to 26 billion. That, I mean, almost 100%. Then you're okay. So 2023 they kept it the same. Then they went to 60 billion in revenue, from 27 to 61 billion. That is insane. Over 100% growth in revenue. So just, I mean, there's no other company like Nvidia. But then again, you're getting involved in a more mature company. You're not going to get the same growth rates that you're going to get in some of the smaller cap stocks, or you're going to have the same potential, I should say. But I mean, hey, who's not okay with a 50% return year over year in a company like Nvidia? Net income has just been exploding. I mean, you go from 37 billion. I mean, that's insane. Think about that. They had 61 billion in revenue, and they made almost 40 billion in profit. That's insane. What other company is as efficient as a company like that? So you go from 9 billion to 40 billion. I mean, that's a 400% growth. Absolutely nuts. Nvidia, we love you. We all look up to you. Jim Cramer's got his freaking dog named after Nvidia. Whether you like the guy or not, it's pretty damn funny. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up Western Digital. That one's next on our list. Finally, not a energy stock. You have this run up, run down, run up, and then you have this break below this presumed support. And now it looks like it's doing a retracement before a continuation to the downside. I don't know, man. I don't know that I would get involved in this one. Let's check out their fundamentals. I mean, Western Digital is and has been a pretty well-established, well-known company. But when the stock's performing like this, you got to ask some questions, especially when you have the other companies like what we were looking at as options to get into, right? Okay, so revenue on Western Digital. Yeah, I mean, nothing special here. Next, I mean, seriously, I mean, I'm not touching that. It's just doing a run up before a continuation to the downside. That's all that it is, guys. Uber, you want to touch Uber? I don't know. I mean, looking at these yearlies, I guess it looks okay because you have this breakout above resistance, this clear resistance right there. You have it come and break out. Then you have a consolidation in 2024, and now you have a continuation possibly. So let's go ahead and look at the months. No, I spoke too soon. I wouldn't touch it. You have you have, and Uber is under a lot of scrutiny from Tesla coming in with their robo-taxis. Now, I think robo-taxis are a long way out. However, people are starting to say that Uber has no future when Tesla eventually does roll out the robo-taxis, because they are going to do it. It's just a matter of when. So right now we're having this kind of bounce retracement for the first couple of days into 2025. I suspect that we're going to get a continuation to the downside, and that 65 is going to act as a level of resistance. Okay, Micron coming up next. Yeah, I mean, here you have a semiconductor stock that just really hasn't performed well versus its peers. I think there's a lot better options out there. Looking at this chart, it almost looks similar to Uber and CDW before. Yeah, I mean, there's so much better options. Why would you invest in Micron when you can invest in NVIDIA or AMD even, or Marvell, right? I wouldn't touch it. Okay, on to the next one. First Solar. All right, I mean, here we have another energy stock. First and foremost, another energy stock. It has been doing very well the past couple of years. I will give it that. You do have this line of support that if this continuation happens to the downside, you do have this level of support around 150. Would I touch First Solar? Probably not, especially with the other options we were looking at, like Constellation Energy, and what was the other one? Vistra. Yeah, I wouldn't be investing in a First Solar when I can invest in Vistra or Constellation. I'll tell you that much. Okay. So that does it for the 10 that we wanted to look at. However, there's one more I want to look at, and that's going to be Palantir. So let's go ahead and pull up Palantir's chart. And those other ones didn't even warrant looking at their financials. I mean, who cares? Honestly, they're not doing good. Palantir had a breakout on Friday. I think a lot of stocks did have breakouts on Friday. I mean, a lot of them actually were kind of doing a retracement from what they had lost the day before. So for Palantir to be actually doing a breakout, that looks good. I mean, and everybody knows, I mean, the returns that Palantir had last year, 340% is nuts. I think Palantir can keep running. I think that, and maybe not in the short term, we might have some sort of retracement. We could possibly see a retracement down into the 40s, into the 50s, 55, 60. I could definitely see a retracement in that price range. However, Palantir is just getting started. It could be one of those companies that, 10 years, 20 years from now, we look back and say, wow, that was the opportunity to get in NVIDIA 10, 20 years ago. That's when we should have gone into Palantir. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying that's what it could be. Let's go ahead and take a look at their financials. And a lot of time, there was a point in time where people didn't really know the business that Palantir was in, because Palantir was doing a lot of stuff with the Pentagon, and I believe a lot of their activities were not made public. So revenue has been skyrocketing since 2020, 2021. You go from 2.23 billion in 2023, and again, we don't have the 2024 numbers yet. You can kind of assume what it's going to be. But yeah, I mean, just solid growth on the revenue side and on the net income side. So definitely a good company to keep in mind, possibly a great company for everybody to be investing in. But yeah, guys, that does it for the 10 stocks that have so far been rallying in 2025 and our analysis of BYD. No, we didn't get too much in depth with it, but just want to be quick for you guys on a Sunday night here. So thank you everybody for watching. My channel is new. I would love it if you guys could hit that like and subscribe button. Trying to get more financial news to everybody out there and help everybody if you like my content. So thank you very much and have a great week.